Karel, good morning, and thanks so much for your time. Now, of course, this is something that we've been dealing with for many, many years, but I'm guessing that COVID-19, online learning, all of that has been a bit of a game changer in terms of parents having the time to actually do the policing that they are supposed to do.
Yes, I think it's just sort of jumped us forward a couple of years in that our children have a need now to be online. They need a device and they need access to the internet more than what we could have policed before. And if our parents aren't vigilant and putting the necessary protection in place or monitoring what their children are doing online, they make them vulnerable to all sorts of untoward connections, meeting up with strangers, content, etc.
Well, let's look at what is happening. What has your survey actually found? I mean, if you have to tell us what the youngest child was that was being exposed to all of this and just basically what they're being exposed to and how they're led down those avenues.
Yes. I mean, there are a couple of statistics that are quite harrowing. I mean, we found that through our research that 11 years old is the sort of average age of exposure. We have children that come through our recovery groups that have been exposed from the age of 6 as a result. So we run recovery groups for teenagers and for adults, and a lot of these teens have been exposed from a very young age. Another scary stat is that 90% of teenagers with access to the internet will have seen pornography by the age of 18. So it's just inevitable. It's not a matter of if they will, it's a matter of when they will. Another stat is that 41% of them have made contact with dangerous or undesirable strangers, and roughly 31% of them have sent or received images with sexual content. So that just shows you what the extent or the reach of it is. And South Africa, we used to think that South Africa was we were sort of hidden away from the rest of the world. We are actually one of the top. This was a study done in 2017 on one of the top pornography aggregators that published their statistics very blatantly. Showcased that South Africa was the top consumer of pornography on a mobile device in the world.
Wow. All right, let's talk solutions then, Karel. I mean, you're launching hashtag Parent Talk, and it is today. Yes, it is the 1st of June. So tell us how this is aimed at helping parents and children.
Yes, it's in conjunction with KSSA and Original Design, which is another movement, and we are the IME movement, and we've launched this initiative called the Parent Talk, hashtag Parent Talk, and it is to educate parents to give them, sort of guidelines on what to look out for, what signs am I looking for in my kids, what are the real dangers around pornography. It's not just a very shameful moral, debate. It's now become, it's very addictive. It does a lot of harm to the brain. It rewires the brain. It can change the sexual template. So there's a lot of things over and above the moral aspects of it that we need to discuss. So we've just got a very informative talk for parents that is hosted by Cause for Justice, and that would bring parents up to speed with what they should be looking out for, and then also what they can do to put blocks in place, what preventative measures should they be putting in place, and what to do when Pandora's box has already been opened.
All right, well, I think if you're okay to just give us some of those tips now for anybody who might not be able to connect with you on Parent Talk. Just what are some of the general obvious things that we should be doing as parents on all the devices that our children can get their hands on these days?
Yes, I think a lot of the devices do have parent filters on. The other alternative is to see if you can block this sort of content or put an age restriction on your internet service provider level. And then another option would be to look at softwares or apps called something called like Custodio is an app that we sell on our website on the imemovement.co.za. Another one is Covenant Eyes, and it is just bringing it's having bringing the discussion about accountability and making it a culture of accountability in our homes, where, you know, mommy and daddy should be accountable on what we do on our devices, and so should our children be. You know, there should be nothing that we do in the dark and that we have to hide from one another. And I think the internet in its anonymity and, you know, the wonderful curiosity that our children have at that age make it very dangerous. And, you know, and the moment that we have been exposed to this sort of content, there's a huge amount of toxic shame that happens, and we want to hide it and we want to go stealth. And then, you know, all sorts of other weird and wonderful things can come crawling out of the cracks.
All right, let's talk also about cyberbullying and online violence and the threat that is there. And like we say, we are aware of it. We know that it's possible. We don't think it's happening to our child, or that our child is actually doing it to another child. We've seen tragedies happen with teenagers over the past couple of months here in this country and around the world. So what is it that we need to be doing there as parents? What are the signs? What do we look for when we go into our children's social media or their devices to see that this might be happening with them?
I think the most important thing for us as parents is to be a healthy counter voice. I don't know if you've seen the movie on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. It's something worth checking out. But our children are being bombarded with opinions, with voices, with content that drive a certain agenda. And we as parents need to be very well informed what that agenda is, and be in the game, be talking to our children and giving them advice or giving them a counter voice as to make sense of it all. Because at the age of 12 or you know, younger, when they get their first cell phone, when they start joining these social media groups and platforms, they have no idea what they're being served and how much of it. And they think they're getting access to a very big, wide world. But their interests start to narrow. You know, if they have more than 5 hours a day, they would become more depressed. So, I mean, there are so many signs to look out for as a parent. Your child will become withdrawn. Your child will become depressed. Your child will have anger outbursts. Your child will become confused about certain issues. So there are a lot for us to look out for. And, you know, that we are, as parents, are the counter voice. I would encourage any parent to at least in the beginning, you know, join the same social media platform that their child is on and be in the feed, know what they are watching, you know, have discussions with them. It is a private party and we as parents aren't invited into it. But if you don't make it your business to know what is going on there, you will be in for a surprise.
Absolutely. Crash that party. Thanks very much, Karel Willems. He's the founder of the I, Me movement. And we all need reminders as parents every so often. Our lives are busy enough as it is, but we need to take the time to do those things.